how do I blame the child for his failure? I blame the school and I blame the parents. I blame the home and I blame the parents. One child doesn't fail, the whole school and the whole family fails with it. We've gone wrong somewhere. How is it the child has failed? How did we allow him to fail? Why didn't we wake up early? हमको क्या बच्चे को खाली result are we supposed to only see the result? So there is a journey to the end. There's means to the end and end to the means, whatever we look at. So isn't there a journey that we are observing?
No rain. Folks, hello and welcome to the Naren Agarwal Show. Today's episode is a super special episode, not just for you, but for me, for myself. I am here with the principal of my alma mater, the school I went to from grade 1 through 12, the Heritage School in Kolkata. And I have nobody else but the principal of the school, Mrs. Seema Sapru, who has an impact on the students that have walked through the doors of this school. She has been the principal of the Heritage School since 2007 and is on the advisory board of various educational organizations. She is a master trainer for chemistry appointed by ICSE New Delhi. She has been awarded the Principal of the Year, India, by India Today and Educom. She was awarded the Pride of the Nation award by none other than Shri Om Birla, who's the Speaker of the Lok Sabha in India on International Women's Day this year, 2021. Ma'am has a master's degree in chemistry and in education and a postgraduate diploma in school leadership management. And to top it off, she's done multiple certificate courses from universities like Harvard, from University of California, and also IIM Ahmedabad. I am so delighted to welcome Mrs. Seema Sapru. Ma'am, how are you?
Namaste, everyone. And, so Naren, you know how we would say namaste in school. So it's unlike all other schools, we don't really say good morning and good afternoon. We say namaste to each other. So since you are a heritage, I can always say namaste to you.
Namaste,
so Namaste, bache. I'm fine. And, when you were reading out the resume, I thought you were talking about somebody else. So fine. I mean, I'm absolutely fine. I'm delighted to be here on your show, Naren. It's such a an opportunity for me to talk to you at a very different platform.
Yeah, it's like in school, ma'am, you were this like head figure and we always appreciated you and you were still so jolly. But at the same time, I think as students didn't look at the human side of you, we saw you as the principal. But in this podcast, I have the opportunity to talk to you about, like how you live your life. What do you eat at home? Like, I don't know, all kinds of things. And I'm so excited to have this conversation and you made it so easy and so approachable for me. So thank you so much for that.
Okay, so you wanted to know what I eat?
Yes, ma'am. What do you eat? Like I always wondered, what does the principal eat at home? Does she also have dal chawal? Or?
Oh yes, very much. In fact, I've brought some. There's some aloo ka sabzi. There is some roti, and there is a little bit of dahi, raita. All that we eat normally, and Naren, I not just eat, I also cook.
Wow. You cook still. Do you find the time to cook, like managing, like being the principal of the Heritage School? And
what is so great about being the principal of a school? There's nothing very great. We don't grow wings just because we've become the principals. And I have a husband, I have children, I have in-laws, I have everybody at home. Yeah. And I better look after everyone because, they never told me that I should go out and earn and become a principal.
Yeah. Wow.
I was married into a family where everybody thought that I was supposed to be a good housewife. And my parents had very clearly told me that, we're getting you married and be a very good housewife.
And this was how many years ago, ma'am?
35 years.
5 years ago. Okay, so you married like which year?
1988.
88. Okay, so you got married
87 I got.
87. Okay. And so yeah, you were saying that, it was like a typical, like, your parents got you married, that you have to be a good wife.
Yeah. So I was supposed to be a good wife. So I got married and my husband, to be my fiance at that point of time, he's been working for a corporate organization called Tata Steel. So he worked for many years and so he was working with Tata Steel and he was posted in Patna at that point of time.
Okay.
Patna, of all the places.
Yeah.
So I got married and I went to Patna.
And which city were you in, ma'am?
I was at that point of time, my father was posted in a small, very small, tiny little city called, not city, it's a small little town called Saharanpur, which is very close to Delhi.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of Saran.
Okay. Yeah. So I was there at that time.
Okay.
So from there, I got married and I'd never been to Patna in my life. We'd been to Ranchi. My
Okay.
father had taken us to Ranchi because there were a whole lot of these, falls, and there were, the Shang falls, and there were these. There was this, a French colony there. So my father had taken us there once for a holiday.
Okay.
So we'd gone there, but we'd never been to Patna. I'd never gone to. So I went to Patna, and
Like being married and going to a city that you've never been to before, right?
I'd never been to before,
To
and
a
I
new
went,
family,
and
to a new city. Yeah.
and the best part is I didn't know my husband very well because, it was an arranged marriage.
It was an
Our
arranged-
family,
Okay.
our family is the kind, you can understand, very traditional kind of family where, they look for a boy, and then, so this happened. And so I didn't know him much.
Yeah.
I didn't know him at all, in fact.
Yeah.
He'd come to meet me after we got engaged. He'd come to meet me once. But didn't get to know him much, and then got married, and then went there to Patna to see a new home, a mother-in-law, a husband who I didn't know. Nobody.
Wow.
So anyway, so stayed there for some time. After about a year or so, he got posted to Bangalore.
Okay.
Okay. So I moved to Bangalore with him. Lock, stock, barrel, we moved to Bangalore. And by the time we went to Bangalore, I was all, about 5-6 months pregnant by then. Okay. Then we went to Bangalore, and that was an absolutely new place for me.
Wow. In the
So I'd never been. 1987 and then 88. It had become 88 by then.
Wow.
Okay. So then
That was a different Bangalore then. Yeah.
Bangalore was beautiful, beautiful. So there are a lot of things that happened immediately after that. My husband had to go to Calcutta and Patna for some work. And I was alone there. I said, I can't stay here. And he couldn't let me stay there alone. A pregnant young woman staying there. So he took me all the way from there to Calcutta, from Calcutta to Patna, Patna to Delhi, and Delhi, my parents, he left me there with my parents. Then he went back to Calcutta to do his work, and then to Patna to do his work, and then came back to Delhi to pick me up.
Wow. That's a whole India tour.
And at that point of time, let me tell you, there was only the flight that used to be there was only Indian Airlines.
Okay.
And there used to be a long, long queue, and the tickets used to be very expensive. So if I'm living with him all my life because of this one thing that he did for me.
That's
I can never repay what he did for me at that point of time, how he took me from one place to the other, and then whatever. Anyway, so then we had our son in Bangalore.
Wow.
And he was born in 1988. And then after he was about 2 years old, I started working. He used to go to a nearby school, and since I had my in-laws there with me, so they used to look after him, and I started teaching in a school called Baldwin Boys, Bangalore.
Okay.
So Baldwin Boys was a very, very well-known school, and I started teaching there as a chemistry teacher. And I still have very good contacts with those children. In fact, those children had invited me about 4-5 years ago. I went there and we had a reunion.
Wow. Your first school and the first, batch of students that you taught.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Very
so
sweet.
had you taught before this? Had you ever taught before this, or this was your first?
I did teach in Saharanpur for about 6-8 months.
Okay.
And after that, I went off to this place.
And did you know you wanted to be a teacher? Did you have that as a plan, or after you had your son, you thought, okay, I want to work and this is the profession that I like? How did that happen?
Naren, I wanted to be a teacher from the time I was born, I think.
Oh, wow.
You know, what I would do is, my father used to get posted also in various places. So we were in Jalandhar, we were in Jodhpur, we were in Jaipur, we were in Mussoorie, we were in, so, you know, whichever place my father used to get transferred. So we were there. And during the summer vacations and the winter vacations, I would go around the colony. You know, we used to have a lot of bankers there, State Bank of India, so bankers are there. So, you know, State Bank colony used to be there. So we used to, you know, have a whole lot of friends. So I used to collect all their exercise books, corrected ones, and go correct all of them once again with red pen, put my signatures, give them smileys and whatever. So I wanted to be a teacher. I loved being a teacher.
That's beautiful.
So I loved it, and this is my dream from the very beginning. So anyway, so I became a teacher there.
Mm-hmm.
And the little bit that I settled down after 2.5, 3 years, my husband said one day, he said, you know what, I'm so happy to tell you that I've got a promotion. I've been transferred to Calcutta.
Once
So I
again.
said, yeah. So he said, we've been transferred to Calcutta. I said, yeah, let's go to Calcutta. So he went to Calcutta. And then he went back to his own office, because he was from one office to his own office. I mean, his own friends, his own people, his own every organization. He came back, he started working here, and I had to go around looking for a job again, you know,
Wow.
putting my application somewhere, getting my son admitted to a school.
Yeah.
Anyway, so my husband's from La Martiniere. He was born here and he studied here. So I was very keen that my son also goes to La Martiniere. So I used to stand in long queues. It used to be raining, and I used to stand with an umbrella and tell them, oh, my, whatever. And then finally my son got into La Martiniere. So uska bhi ho gaya, unka bhi ho gaya. Then I started, they said, La Martiniere, there's no this thing, vacancy for a teacher. I said, never mind, I will teach on an honorary basis. So I started teaching there.
Wow. Just out of your love for teaching.
Yes. So I taught there for about 3-4 months.
Wow.
Then I saw that there was a vacancy for a maths teacher in class 8. For 3 months, there was a vacancy in St. James's.
Okay.
So I went and taught there in St. James's for 3 months. I taught maths there in class 8. And then there was a vacancy in MP Birla. So I went and taught there for 2-3 months.
That's amazing, ma'am. It's like literally you took on any opportunity that life gave you without being sorrowful about it. You saw this opportunity. You were like, okay, I'm going to teach on an honorary basis. 3 months here, I'm going to go and teach. You were just like, yes to life.
Oh, yes, because I wanted to teach.
Wow.
So I went to MP Birla. When my son was going to La Martiniere, he was happy there. So while I was in MP Birla, then I got a job from a permanent, free, full vacancy kind of a job in St. Thomas's, Kidapur.
Okay, that's
St. Thomas's Girls' School, Kidapur.
Yeah.
So I went there, taught there for 4 years.
Wow.
Then my husband, one day when I was settling down, my husband said, I've been transferred to Kanpur. And I said, yay, let's go. So took out my son from La Martiniere. So everybody said, are you a fool? Does anybody take out their children from La Martiniere and go to some other place? And that to a godforsaken place like Kanpur in UP? Who goes there? So I said, well, my husband's got posted there and I'm very happy. We'll go to see a new place. So I gave up my job and I went to Kanpur. So there in Kanpur, we went there. So when I went, there was a very good school called Dr. Viren Swarup Public School.
Okay.
So there was this civil line school and there was this cantonment school. So there was cantonment school is supposed to be a very good school. So I went there, took my son along and went there, stood in the queue and asked them, could you give me admission, my son admission? So when I went in for the admission, this thing, and these people were all sitting there, the trust people, they were all sitting there, the managing trustees. So when I walked in, so when I was talking to them, they said, what do you do? So I said, I'm a teacher. So they said, if you join, then we'll take your son in.
Oh, wonderful.
So I said, good enough. There I am. From tomorrow, I'm joining your school. So, but then I realized this was the beginning, because there's always a vacancy for a chemistry teacher. But there's never a vacancy for a student in a good school. So, yeah, it's a fact. So then both of us joined there. My son and myself, we used to go there. So worked there for about 4 years. And then in the 5th year, one day the gentleman, the managing trustee, called me and he said, "Ma'am, there's a little bit of an issue. The principal has had a nervous breakdown and she's gone off to Hyderabad for something or the other, for some treatment. So would you take over as the principal?" I said, "Really?" So I told them, I said, "Look, I'm a little, what shall I say? I'm okay with taking up responsibility and I love doing what I'm doing. But, my husband will get transferred very soon, because we don't stay for more than 4-5 years anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and we've completed 4 years already. So, so I don't think, we'll stay. So, okay, for as long as you're here."
Yeah.
I said, okay.
Wow.
I rang up my husband. And rang up in the sense, at that point of time, we didn't have mobile phones.
Okay.
So he used to have a pager, which was this big.
Wow.
You have a pager. So you could only send a message on a pager. So I sent him a message. And then I called him up from the landline. And I asked him, these people are asking me to take over as the principal. So in any case, he was too busy. He said, yeah, okay. So I said, fine. When he's saying, yeah, okay, meaning say yes.
Yeah. Wow.
I told them, I said, yeah, my husband says yes, let's take over. So I became the principal, officiating principal and things like that. And sure enough, in another 6-7 months' time, my husband says he's got transferred to Calcutta.
Yet again.
So left everything there and came back to Calcutta. Now this time when I came to Calcutta, I couldn't find a job again. It takes time to find a job, because it was in the middle of the year. Who will give me
And
a
what
job?
year is this, ma'am? About like what year? Like
I'll tell you, this is 2000.
2000. Okay.
Because 1995 to 2000, a little before 2000, I was in Kanpur. 1991 to 1995, I was in St. Thomas's Girls' School.
Okay.
So 95 to 2000, I was there. So 2000, I came here. And then while I was looking for a job, then I saw Calcutta International School had a vacancy.
Okay.
So I went to Calcutta International School and they took me on. So I started teaching in Calcutta International School.
And this is as a teacher?
Yeah, this is a teacher. So this is where I feel when people say principal, अरे क्या principal? Principal बने फिर teacher बन गए, फिर principal बन गए, फिर teacher बन गए. कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
Wow.
So then Calcutta International School में आ गए. I taught there for about a year. When I met Mrs. Chaya Biswas. Now Mrs. Chaya Biswas used to be the principal of St. Thomas's Girls when I was here a teacher from 1991 to 1995. So I met her somewhere in Newmarket, somewhere or the other. So she said, "Seema, you here?" I said, "Yes." "So where are you now?" I said, "I'm teaching in Calcutta International School." So she said, "How can you teach in Calcutta International School if you're in Calcutta? You have to come back to St. Thomas's." So I said, "Ma'am, now I'm settled there and all that." And once again, I got my son into La Martiniere. I don't know how we got him into La Martiniere once again. So he was happily studying there. And I said, "Ma'am, no, not now." She said, "No, now I'm earlier I used to be the principal of St. Thomas's Girls' School. Now I'm the secretary and CEO of both the schools, the girls' school and the boys' school. And we need a teacher for chemistry in the boys' school. So you have to join the boys' school." I said, "Ma'am, no." She said, No, you have to leave. So I left Calcutta International School and I joined St. Thomas's Boys' School. मेरा भी दिमाग खराब है. किसी ने प्यार से बोल दिया आ जाइए, ठीक है छोड़ दिया. Calcutta International with a higher salary, with fewer children, with international board, with everything. दिमाग तो ठीक था नहीं मेरा. So this was on Lee Road par hota tha school this time. It used to be on Lee Road.
Yeah.
And my husband, since he was with Tata Steel, so he was always in Alipo. We used to stay in Alipo on Penn Road, just opposite the horticultural garden.
Okay.
So there are these, nice places they've made for the Tata Steel people. So that's where we always stayed. So St. Thomas Kidapur was very convenient
Correct.
for me.
Much closer. Yeah.
Much closer. But मैंने सोचा ही नहीं, वो छोड़ दिया, Calcutta International छोड़ दिया, आ गए इधर Thomas's Boys School पे पढ़ाना शुरू कर दिया.
Wow.
So 2 years I taught here. When my husband said we are getting transferred to Ahmedabad.
This is crazy, ma'am. This is absolutely.
So I left Calcutta, this thing, St. Thomas's Boys School.
Yeah.
Went to Ahmedabad. In Ahmedabad, so before that I was, by then I'd become a little older and a little more mature. Earlier on I used to just leave and run away wherever. By then I thought, now what will happen? ये क्या लाइफ में मैं क्या कर रही हूँ भैया, इधर से जाती हूँ उधर जाती हूँ उधर, like a ping pong ball, people are throwing me away from one place to the other.
Yeah.
So I said, अभी क्या करें? Let me see if there's an ICSE school in Ahmedabad.
Yeah.
So I checked out, and there was a school called. Have you ever heard of this school called Eklavya?
No, ma'am.
It's a beautiful school. It's a lot like Heritage. It's a lot like Heritage.
Okay.
Okay. So I read about Eklavya, that Eklavya is a school which is a day boarding school, ICSE school.
Okay.
So went there. This was in 2002-3, somewhere in between 2002-3.
Yeah.
So went there and so they took a test. There was a written test for your
To become a teacher.
Becoming a teacher. Yeah. Everywhere it used to be like that, you have to go for a demo class, you have to go for interviews, they have to teach, this, that, So I went there and they asked me to write something, and so I wrote and I sent it. So next day they called me and they said, you're becoming a teacher and we want you to be an English teacher. I said, English, my God, English. What English? I haven't done English after class 12.
Yeah.
So they said, no. And now this is something, this is on podcast and I shouldn't be saying it, but I shouldn't be saying it. Really, people will laugh at me and people will say this, she thinks too much of herself. But really, in Ahmedabad, at least at that point of time, people didn't know English.
The level of English wasn't too up there. Yeah.
Yeah. People didn't much know English. So they thought, anyone who spoke English, they thought, he's going to English. Be an English teacher. So they said, English padhata. I said, me English, please. I'm a chemistry teacher. Please. I beg of you, let me teach chemistry. But they made me teach only English. Okay. And they asked me to teach this thing. What is this called? Julius Caesar.
Julius Caesar.
And my dear friend, I have done Great Expectations. I've done, Shakespeare. I've done Charles Dickens. I've done this thing, Bernard Shaw. I've done this thing. What was that book called? Anyway, so I've done all those books, but I'd never done Julius Caesar. I hadn't read Julius Caesar. Merchant of Venice I'd done, but Julius Caesar I hadn't done. I'd done few other Shakespeare books, but this I hadn't done. So I told them, I said, look, I haven't done it and I don't know, it's a very difficult book. So I used to get up at 4 in the morning and mug up everything and then go to school and teach. Really, I did that for some time. I used to get up in the morning at 4 o'clock. No, not wow. And yet I couldn't teach them anything. I was very bad. I was very, very bad. I didn't know English. I didn't know, in the sense that speaking English is very different and teaching literature.
Yeah. That to Julius Caesar.
That to Julius Caesar. I was like, so anyway, after about 6 months, I gave up and I said, I can't teach. And by then I had already got a job. There was another school where they said they wanted me to be they were starting a new branch of their school and they wanted me to be the principal there. So I took on that school and I became the principal there. It's called H.B. Kapadia School and it's a very good school. It's supposed to be one of the best schools in Ahmedabad. So I went there, started that school, and enjoyed myself thoroughly. And for 3 years I was there, and I loved it.
Wow.
We loved it, and I cannot tell you, I have such fond memories of that school because we started that school and with a lot of love. So that is when my husband came and told me that now that you settled here, we may move to Delhi.
Wow, this is a crazy,
Yes.
googly every time.
So whenever and then I remember once I told my husband, I said, look, it seems that I'll never ever earn 10,000 rupees, because the moment my salary becomes about 9,800 or something, you come and tell me that we're getting transferred somewhere. Will I ever get 10,000 rupees in my life? So again, by then I'd become a little smarter, a little more, worldly wise.
Yeah.
So I said, before I go, now I've been a principal there 1 year in Kanpur, 3 years here. So let me check out if I can get a job as a principal somewhere in Delhi.
Wow.
So then there was an advertisement which said they were looking for a principal for their GEMS schools. Now GEMS is GEMS, Global Education Management Systems, Dubai.
Okay.
They run around, say, close to 200 schools across the world.
Okay.
The organization is called GEMS,
Yeah, I've heard
GEMS.
of gems before, yes.
Yeah, Global Education Management System. So they run these schools, and they were starting a corporate office plus, 7 schools they were starting in India.
Okay.
So they said they had their premier school was in Delhi, in Noida, which they're wanting to start. I applied, went from Calcutta, from Ahmedabad to Delhi for 2-3 interviews and things like that, and I was selected.
Wow.
So then, by then, my husband still hadn't got his posting to Delhi, and my son, meanwhile, had finished his class 10 in Ahmedabad, and he was doing rather well in the sense that he'd become, he was playing tennis, he was very well, and he was swimming very well, and he did very well in academics.
Wow.
And also he became ESPN quiz of the year, and he became the physical research laboratories. He won the first award, and he did too many things. And my husband told me that he's in Ahmedabad, and he thinks that he's cat's whiskers, and he needs to be taken to some place where he understands that he's not very good. So
Wow.
it's time that he wakes up and he knows that there are very many people who are much, much better than him. He should be going to, either you take him to Delhi with you, or you take him to Calcutta, or you take him somewhere, or put him in a boarding school, because in the sense that this is too small a place, and he should now know
And
that.
that reminds me of a great quote. And it says, like, if you're the smartest person in the classroom, maybe you got to change the classroom. And it's great that, you as parents thought about that rather than, like you thought about your son's growth rather than keeping him excellent. You thought about how can we make him grow further. And that's such beautiful parenting. Yeah.
That's my husband saying, not me. He's probably a better parent than I am. So he's I was actually basking in the glory and feeling very happy. So he was in Bonvita quiz contest. He used to come on television very often, and he used to win a lot of prizes. And so ESPN quiz, he used to come on television, and with Harsha Bhogle and with Derek O'Brien, and I think they would know him because he used to win a lot of quizzes. And so he was good. He was good, but I think he thought he was better. Okay. So then they said that my husband, till then he hadn't got his posting. So he was still waiting. And I had to join school, and, because I had got a job before, he could move out, and my son we were worried about. So we took him there, and people told us that there's a beautiful school called Sardar Patel Vidyalaya. I don't know if you heard of that school. It's a brilliant school. Anyway, he got into some good school because he'd done well in class 10. So he got into a good school, And but we put him in Sardar Patel Vidyalaya, which is a wonderful school.
Wow.
And so he was very fortunate to go there, and then very fortunate to know there that he was like nothing there. Everybody there was much better than him. Everyone there was far better than him, and he did find it difficult to, adjust to the fact that he was the school captain in his school, and he was supposed to be everything, doing whatever, and then suddenly he was like left being nothing at all. And Delhi is a big place, big city, very good, smart people. So finally, I took over that school, ran that school for 2 years, and
That's also gems that started itself, right? It's like it was a new
I started that school.
Wow.
And set it up, and it was very nice. It was a lovely school. I love that school. Again, I left a small piece of my heart there.
Oh.
And it was wonderful. And then my husband said he's getting transferred to Calcutta.
Okay, now we're coming to the heritage school. I think the suspense. Okay, here it is. Okay. So this is 2007.
Yes.
Okay.
So my son had just finished his class 12, and we were waiting for him to get into some place or the other. And God willing, he got into a good college. He got into St. Stephen's, but he got BSc chemistry, which he wasn't interested in. Then he got into triple IT, which was in IIT Madras.
Okay.
So he went to IIT Madras, and he did his mechanical engineering there. And so he was there for 4 years. We were here, me and my husband and my in-laws, of course, they were there. So we were all together here. And then I joined our school, the heritage school. And you see, for me, it was initially, for anyone, it's tough to be in a school like this where, at that point in time, in 2007, it was very challenging because, the school had completed, I think, 5.5 years or so, 5.5 years at that time, or 6 years maybe.
Correct.
Yeah, 6 years they'd completed. And, there were 3 principals, 4 principals had changed at that time, 3 principals. And then, so it was a little difficult at that time. But, with the help of all the others who were here at that time, they supported me. And so everything, initially, which was a challenge, that became the opportunity later. Wow. And we started looking at things. I still remember, the buses used to go and my car used to follow it. And I used to be in the buses at times. So one full tire, one wheel is suspended in the air. Remember, there used to be this nala?
Yes, ma'am. Those roads were so scary. I remember like freaking out sometimes because the way to the school, there were canals on both sides and this road was thin and sometimes
yes.
Yeah.
So it was fun, and so I still remember the I don't know, 2007. You must have been in which class?
I was in class 7, I think.
Oh, you were a big boy at that time, huh?
Yeah.
I thought you must have been a little baby at that time, no?
I was in class 7. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, class 6, 7, you must be. But I must tell you, when I came here, there was a lot of, there was a lot of bullying happening, and the children used to be very badly behaved.
That's so true, ma'am. I can agree. Like, we definitely caused a lot of ruckus. Sometimes I was part of it, but yeah.
No, that's okay. Everybody has to be a part of it. That's the fun part of being in a school.
Yeah.
I traveled in buses, and children used to be, they used to litter the buses with the snack packets that used to get.
Yeah.
Moody everywhere, and the packets everywhere, and
Yeah, that's so true,
Every
man. We were badly behaved, I think. Like, yeah,
today you see how the school is.
yeah,
Nobody, I mean, not one, nothing, nothing. And I'm not taking the credit for it. I think all of us grew with each other. We held hands and we said, let's just carry on with it.
wow, wow.
So, because one person can do nothing unless you get support from the others. And I must say, Naren, whether it is your parents or anybody else's parents, you know, it's the parents who've been our pillars of strength. They've supported us all along. So whatever we were teaching our children here at school, they were making sure that that was done at home as well.
Yeah.
See, that recapitulation of everything is done at home. And when whatever they were doing at home, we were trying to do it at school. So,
Ma'am, I still remember my mother quotes an example from school. Like, she had gone to school, and I think one of the counselors at that point, she had taught mom something, and she still quotes it. She said, how to teach kids sharing. So, sometimes when kids fight that I want this toy, and the older brother or the younger brothers or the sister is like, I want this toy. So rather than get them two separate toys, you either tell them to share or you break the toy, and none of them have it. So then they have to learn and adapt to share, because sharing is the only way that we can have it. Otherwise, we don't have it. And that's a lesson she learned from school. And she used to tell me, and it kind of reminds me of what you said, that, what you did, the kind of values you tried to instill in school were reflected by parents, and, vice versa.
seriously, I think when we write there in our prospectus that parents are our partners in education, parents are co-educators along with us. When we say that, we really mean it, because actually in heritage, if whatever we've achieved, it is thanks to parents, thanks to, of course, teachers. We have a brilliant set of teachers. They are so involved. I think the bonding that they share with teachers is
It's true.
unimaginable. I'm sure you must be in touch with so many teachers of yours.
That's true, ma'am. Like, especially like, I know like even other friends who are still in touch with teachers. I just know a friend who went like day before yesterday. He went for dinner to a teacher's house.
How
From
sweet.
yeah. So that connection is definitely there with teachers, and the way the school works, even the day boarding aspect, and the times that we also get outside the classroom is really special. I think the system of the school and the way it works. Ma'am, I want to ask you though, like when you first came to now, the school has grown immensely, and I also see the quality of students the school is creating, and the kind of achievements the students are doing. It shows that the school has transformed in many ways. Just from like even me interacting with students who are in grade 12 now, I'm like, wow, like, these students are exceptional. We weren't like that when we were in grade 12. And it only shows that they've had a certain journey in school. Ma'am, what were some of your big challenges when you first came to school? And how did you see them go through? Like, if I were to take like one or two examples, because when you came, it was just like 5.5, 6 years old, and it was still discovering itself, right?
Yeah. So what happens is, Naren, when you take over a school and then you realize that this is your responsibility, then the first thing that you do is you need to know everything about the school. So the first thing that I did was I asked the management that I would like to meet the parents first and find out from them what they think about the school. And because after I came in, quite a few parents, they took their children out of the school, and a whole lot of teachers left the school. And so these are things that happen in schools when there is a little bit of a turmoil, or something. This is not just exceptional about the heritage school. It happens everywhere.
Organization, correct.
In all organizations it happens.
So true.
So this was happening. Probably stability was required. there were some people who stayed for 1 or 2 years and then they moved on or whatever, for whatever reasons. So probably there was a stability required in the school. And it so happened that whoever was in the school, I could get along with all of them, and we could, gel as far as the ethos of the school is concerned. We could, sit together and work and say, how do we go about it? It's not you against me, it's you and me together. It's how do we build a team. It's not about primary school, pre-primary school, middle school, secondary school, senior secondary school. It's one school. It is one school, and how the exit point of the primary school can be the entry point of the secondary school. How can that happen? So how is that, so this is the exit and this is the entry level. So how do we align it together? How do we merge it together? So as I said, there were like-minded people. We met a lot of parents, and there were a lot of brickbats, to be honest with you. Initially, they were a little unhappy, and I do understand that a new school, there are teething troubles. And, everybody's trying to find out, trying to implement a few things. Implementation is happening at a certain level, not at the entire level. And, they had told me 3 things at the time when I came in. And I still remember when I was meeting, there are 23, 22 trustees of our school. So I was supposed to, somebody from here came to Delhi to see me. And then they had an interview. Then there's somebody who heard about me. They said that, you go and see her school. So somebody came to see my school. And then they came to my house. So in Delhi, so they came and spent some time in my house, and then they saw everything, and then they called me here and they asked me to meet the trustees. So they also, everywhere it's like a journey. People don't want to take a principal just like that, just because somebody is teaching in or taught for some years, so you can come and join the school. So they want to have that kind of a trust that this lady is going to be looking after the school. So the first thing they told me was, ma'am, we've never had a lady as the principal of a school.
Yeah.
We've always had men. I said, well, then, you see, I'm used to teaching, and I started with a boys' school, St. Thomas's boys, Baldwin boys, everywhere it's been a co-ed or a boys' school. And I have a son. So I'm used to, I get along with boys very well, I realize. छोटे-छोटे बच्चा लड़का लोग मुझे बहुत प्यारे लगते हैं सब बच्चे. माने girls भी बहुत प्यारी लगती है, लेकिन everybody talks about girls. गर्ल्स को सब इधर बिठाते हैं, बॉयज को बेचारों को कोई ध्यान नहीं देता है. And I feel very sad for boys. So boys are very sweet also. Girls are sweet, of course, they're very, very sweet, but boys are also sweet. That's what I wanted to. Anyway, we've never had a lady principal. And, 15 years ago, 15 years ago, I used to look, I was not as young as I looked. I used to look much younger than my years. So they said, "Arey, aap to bahut young hain, aap to kaise
you will handle it.
You won't be able to handle children," and this. I said, "Don't worry about that."
The stereotypes of like a young woman not being able to handle,
not stereotypes. They had their own concerns. They're very nice people. Actually, our management is they're very nice, educated, nice people. So they said, they had their own. No, ma'am, आप कैसे manage कर पाएंगे? So I said, हो जाएगा. And then since I was, laughing, so somebody said, एक तो आप हंसती बहुत है इसलिए बच्चों अगर आप इतना हंसेंगे तो बच्चे आपकी बात कैसे सुनेंगे?
For those who don't understand Hindi, ma'am just said that if he laughs so much, how will the kids take her seriously?
So then there was, finally they told me, ma'am, we wanting you to join us. I said, okay. So there are 3 reasons. I said, okay, what are those 3 reasons? Number 1, you're from the science background and you've been teaching 11 and 12 science, chemistry. So we're very happy because we wanted somebody from the science background. Number 2, they said you're very good with setting up systems, because I used to make policies and I used to be, this is what I do here. And this is what we started with, subject policies have to be made. And then, examination policy has to be made. And then there has to be SOPs for everything, standard operating procedures for everything. So we've made everything. Now today it runs like a corporate office.
Yeah. Wow. That's the secret to running an organization, ma'am. So true. Ultimately, you have to have systems dependency. You cannot be people's dependent. Yeah.
So they said, first is your science background and your class 11 and 12 experience, and then secondly your systems, and the third, which is most important, is you have a very nice smile.
Smile for the win.
Yeah. So I said, great. So they took me on, and then again I came here, and then my husband was of course getting transferred here, and my son came here, and then he went off to Madras, and then we started everything. So basically we worked very hard. We started taking everything, first we said, let's take out the examinations. How should the examinations be held? How should we raise the bar? How should the question papers be made? How should, will anybody, in Calcutta look at the heritage school question papers when they are looking at their question papers?
Wow.
So let's start with that. And then let's start with discipline bit. So discipline was one thing on our minds, and then slowly, and as I said, very good people here. Management was very, very supportive, very supportive. Ma'am, you do everything. We are not wanting money. We're not looking at profits. We want the heritage school to be the #1 school in the world. That's what we want.
Wow.
So when they give you this kind of freedom, then you feel like doing a little more. And that is how I think we worked on systems. Today, whether I'm there or not there, in fact, it's not dependent on any individual. Our school will run.
Wow, that's beautiful, ma'am. And I think that's the job of like the CEO or the head in any organization, to make sure that it runs without them. A lot of heads can come in with that ego that the organization should be dependent on me. But I think a great head of an organization looks at how the organization can run independent of me. How can I take the organization to that level? And that's so beautiful that you've created that. Ma'am, what's like a...
I haven't created that. Again, I haven't created that. I would say all of us sat together. I can tell you, all coordinators that we have, from Nirmal ma'am to Anuradha ma'am to Ushashi ma'am, Bhaskar sir, Shobik sir, Anil sir, Barnali ma'am, Kavita ma'am, Sheila ma'am. Then we have our head of sports, Mr. Sunil Singh. Then we have Manjari ma'am. Activities. You look at anyone, they are so brilliant at their own work, in their own area. Nobody has to look into their work. No one. They don't need anyone.
That's amazing. Like, what's the sort of vision that you started off with? When you first came, there must have been like a vision that you kind of created. Okay, this is how I see at the school looking. Otherwise, it's so tough to go through the day to day. So what's something that you had in mind? Okay, this is what I want to create.
See, at that time, frankly, I didn't have that in mind, that I want to create something, because I thought maybe after another 2-3 years, I'll move out from here as well.
Yeah.
That was the basic idea at that time. Yeah. I didn't think that I'll stay here for this long. Correct. It's just that my husband continued to stay here. He wasn't transferred after this because the head office is here, Calcutta. So he just stayed put here itself. So he didn't get transferred. So I'm here, and he's retired now from Tata Steel. So he runs his own NGO, and so he's here itself. So I have nothing to do with. I'm not going anywhere unless they throw me out. So anyway, no. So the vision was to look at their vision and mission of the school. And the only thing that I keep telling everyone is that, I'm not Seema Sapru. I am the principal, and this chair is what I am. Similarly, you are not A, B, or C. You are a mini representative of the heritage school. So at no point in time does anyone say, if somebody comes to me and I say, if you tell me, ma'am, should we do this about the school? And I say, nahi, pehle main to management se puchungi, pehle main aisa karungi, phir ye karenge, wo karenge. Similarly, if the parent asks the teacher, ma'am, this is the report card, where shall I go? So the teacher says, I don't know, the principal has told me so. Go and ask the principal. I don't know. So take ownership of everything. And in that ownership, whatever you require, 100% trust from me, from you. So we have to have 100% trust. Secondly, you and I are not you and I. A whole lot of our teachers have studied in, all girls or all boys schools. So coming to a co-ed school, they may think that, boys and girls are sitting together. Oh, why? There's something wrong between the two of them. Why? Come out of this. Because you are not you just now. This is the ethos of the heritage school. So each time you take a decision, please go back to take a relook at the vision and mission of the school, and then come back and take a decision. हम क्या कर रहे हैं? School ने क्या लिखा है? और मैं अपना ही चला रही हूँ. I mean, I'm doing something that I'm wanting to do. This is not my school. I don't own it. I'm a representative of the heritage school, and I better believe in the ethos of the heritage school. In my own home, I can do whatever I want to do.
That's amazing.
Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am. I think I 100%. And I think what's beautiful about the heritage school, like you said, like we began the podcast, you said namaste. I think it is a school that brought in a unique vision and mission in Calcutta and to India, where it thought about marrying and bridging the Indian culture and tradition. Like we used to learn yoga in school and extracurricular activities, and we used to celebrate different festivals, like and marrying it with modern education. I think that is a big thing that the school has provided, and I am very lucky I went to a school like that where I could learn the Gayatri mantra in school, yoga postures, and also like the fact that there was like a Saraswati Mata Murti in the beginning without being ashamed about it,
Yes.
Because sometimes I think in education we're ashamed of showing our Indian value and heritage. And in assemblies we used to celebrate Christmas and have these special assemblies with the nativity scene, and we used to have like kheer for Eid. It was celebrating India in some sense, and I think that's something beautiful that the heritage has provided. Honestly, ma'am, what do you say about that?
See, this multiculturalism and this relationship amongst the children, irrespective of their beliefs and faiths and religion. We also have I don't know if we did it at that point of time or not. We have a multi-faith assembly in our school where a Sikh reads the Quran and a Muslim reads a Ramayana and a Hindu reads maybe a Bible. So we are doing that also, a multi-faith assembly, only to tell people that school is not the place to do politics. School is for everyone, and we are all heritants here. There's no religion. The religion is heritage. That's it. That's our religion. So one thing was that, Naren, and I would say, initially what happens is in any school, I'm not talking about heritage, I'm talking about any school that we start, teachers become very protective of students, and they become very protective of, doing things on their own so that everything is very, very good. So the one thing that I had to do was to wean out teachers and say, let it be a student-led program. So that weaning time also was very, very important. Let it be student-led. Let them make mistakes. Big deal. Children are supposed to make mistakes.
Yeah. Wow.
So Utopia, Shongla, THS Man, Entrebiz, then we do imprint, then we do you name it, and we're doing now everything. We do, and everything is done by students. So I have no idea what they're going to be doing. We have no idea. Children are doing it themselves.
That's beautiful. True, ma'am. Utopia, etc. It was really like student-led. We went out, raised the funds, and that's what gave us the experience outside the classroom to do things what we're doing now. That's so true.
And mushroom cultivation?
Yeah, that was a whole business project that a lot of people were involved in.
Yes.
Wow. Ma'am, I have a final few questions with you. I know we're running close to the time, but I will take 5-10 more minutes. one thing is the online.
You're not bored of my conversation?
Not at all, ma'am. It's amazing. I mean, I could go on for another hour.
No, it's okay. I thought children, whoever is going to be listening to me will get bored. This woman is continuous.
Oh, ma'am, you have such good energy. So one question I had for you is, like, with COVID, how did the online adaptation process go? How did you ensure participation, like, with students, with teachers? How did that, was that a very like tough thing to manage? Did that go smooth? I want to get your insight on that.
See, anything that is new, there is always resistance to it, to begin with, always.
Yeah.
So it happened with us also, and we were taken aback, to be honest with you. We were absolutely taken aback that this is happening with us. And then finally, what really stood out was the professional development that all of us have had in the last so many years. See, people keep saying that professional development and, the teacher training programs that we have in our school, the orientation programs we have in school, and we have, we've been having this for a number of years now. We have an 8-day kind of an orientation program every year just before we start the new session, where all of us bring in, our own experience, and we ask everybody to share and, pitch in and, give their ideas about how the school should be run. And so we have a lot of conversation regarding that, and we have a lot of collaborative work that we do. And we also, again, I would say, hats off to our school management. From the very beginning, they made sure that everybody was trained in, IT and computers. Everybody everyone knows in our school. All teachers are very, very good at it. Very good at it. So that hard work and that training, that was put to use at this time. So everybody did that. Everybody knew how to do it. And there are teachers who know a little more than the others. There are some who had a little bit of hesitation. There are some who weren't confident. Would you believe 24/7, some of our teachers, systems department, everybody, they were training each other.
Wow.
And that training continues even today, even at 12 in the night. Anybody who says that I'm not getting Padlet, I can't download Padlet, I can't download Google Classroom, there's something happening with me. There is my whiteboard is not functioning, my Jamboard is not functioning, my Microsoft Teams is not getting downloaded, my Zoom, whatever they say, immediately the work is done. Immediately. And one more thing that we did was we realized that children, in all schools, even today, they're doing Zoom. I mean, most of the schools are doing Zoom. We do have a legal, a license of Zoom. And we could have easily continued with Zoom, but then there were a little bit of disturbances and whatever with Zoom. So our school is the only school that has created a heritage school ID for each child. So there's no bullying, there's no disturbance, nothing happens. We are in a Google Classroom or we are in Microsoft Teams, and our children have a school-specific ID. Only with that they can enter.
Wow.
So that is why we do not have any problem, and our children are studying well. Teachers are doing a great job, and of course our teachers, how collaborative. Once again, I would say, there were 1 or 2 sections or 3 sections at the time when I'd come in, and then, they would do their own thing. So the first thing that we did was all 3 teachers, all 3 sections, sit together, pitch in whatever you know. And at that time, I still remember some of the people who are here, they keep telling me, they stood up, but my style is different and his style is different, and I don't think we'll be able to do it. So I said, let's try. And then now today they look up to me, they not look up to me, they just say, ma'am, remember how I stood up and did this? And they are the ones who are actually coordinators now, and they are making sure that everybody pitches in and we do collaborative work. So whatever is happening in section A, the same thing is happening in section G also. Same sums, same everything, and all of us are together everywhere. So All section, no section parent can say that in my section this activity didn't happen, this film was not shown, this video was not done, this presentation didn't happen, because in each class, as I said, we are all mini representatives of heritage school sitting in different parts of the different
That's
classes.
beautiful, ma'am. Wow.
So that is how teachers are taken to this like fish to water.
Lot of training, lot of support, collaborative work. I think that changes the game. Then you have to adapt to something new. You can easily do it. COVID comes, this comes 24/7. We are supporting each other, and that collaboration is such a game changer, ma'am. Wow, I'm so happy you shared that. Ma'am, one question I have for you now is, as time goes by, we see I see a lot of students under so much pressure, stress, and tension that maybe we didn't face, and like we hear cases of students committing suicide or being in anxiety and depression at this age. So what is your opinion on this? Why is this happening? Is this schools creating pressure on children? And this is like a specific education specific question. Is it like them not having a leeway at home to talk to? What is it that we need to fix with education and with young children in India right now?
I'm going to say something which I don't know if you find the answer in that. See, you are a reflection of your parents. I am a reflection of my parents. Yeah. Let's say that. Yeah. I would say a reflection of your parents and your school. Me, my parents and my school. Whatever I am today, there are two institutes. A family is in another institution and the school is another institution. These are the two things that, make you whatever you are as of today. If our children today are feeling nervous or feel like committing suicide or they feel insecure or they have they have anxieties and they have stress, I would only say that there is something wrong. Not wrong. There's something amiss which has to be worked, because, this is where I come from. When we sit here for our, promotion marks and we sit here for our promotion of the students. So sometimes when teachers say that, ma'am, you said that 38 is the pass mark and now 37.5, you're giving it to 38. Why are you making it 38? Or why are you making 37 into 38? So I tell them 1 mark, 6 subjects, 7 subjects. Would you like a child to repeat 1 full year because of 1 mark? And how do I blame the child for his failure? I blame the school and I blame the parents. I blame the home and I blame the parents. One child doesn't fail, the whole school and the whole family fails with it. We've gone wrong somewhere. How is it the child has failed? How did we allow him to fail? Why didn't we wake up early? हमको क्या बच्चे को खाली result? Are we supposed to only see the result? What is... No. So there is a journey to the end. There's means to the end and end to the means, whatever we look at. So isn't there a journey that we are observing? So where were we when the child faltered the first time? Why didn't we see the signs at that time? So that child is a child. He doesn't know. She doesn't know. But we are adults. We are parents. We are teachers. What are we doing? Agar hamare bachche, if our children are failing, I feel if any child fails, I can never say that the child has failed. I say the family has failed and the school has failed. Teachers have failed. We failed somewhere. So, bache nahi, I think mental pressure, yes, is there, because we have brought them up like that. Just now a parent had come to me, just before you were chatting with me. One parent came to me and he said, ma'am, my son has not been attending classes at all. I have told him that you don't have to do anything. I don't have any expectation. You don't even have to get 90% marks. I said, why? Why have you told him that you don't have to do anything? Why have you said that I don't expect anything from you? You've told him I don't expect anything from you, so he's sitting there doing nothing. What nonsense is this, bhai? Why? My parents told me I expect a lot from you. You are capable. That is why I expect a lot from you.
Wow.
Because you're not capable. I don't expect anything from you. We don't expect anything from you. Ma'am, we are saying we don't expect anything from you. Don't get 90, don't get 80. But just, Hari, what is this? I mean, child is living, he's doing a favor on me if he's living. I mean, you just breathe. You breathe. I'm very grateful to you. Please keep breathing.
Great. I think this is such a good point. We have to challenge the children, but at the same time provide support. Without challenging is not the way for them to feel good. We have to challenge, but at the same time support. And this is such a key.
See, Naren, if you don't challenge the child, if you have no expectations from the child will not have any expectations from his own self. And then he'll think that I'm worthless. Nobody expects anything from me. I'm worthless. Naturally, I am worthless. So nobody expects anything from me. Just live. No, I expect you to be a very nice boy. You are a very nice child. You will do well in life. You will be, your father's running this business and you will take over and you will expand this business and you will take it beyond anybody's expectations because you will do that. But tell him you sleep. You have fun. You're my only child. Kindly accept my grateful, thanks for being my only child. Have food, sleep.
That's
what nonsense. You come here for a purpose, isn't it? There's a purpose in life. There's a meaning to life. If you say that there is no purpose, what are we living here for?
Wow. I think that's a challenge each children, but at the same time provide support. If you just challenge, no support, the child will go under pressure. But if you don't challenge and you just leave the child like that, then the child doesn't grow. So it's a great balance of both. I think that's a big takeaway for me, actually. That's like a great lesson for me. Ma'am, do you think...
Do well and I'm there with you. Do well and I'm there with you. Do well and I'm there with you.
How do you think the future of education is evolving? Do you think we'll require schools, like everything is going online, people are moving away from physically gathering together? I know there's a lot of pros and cons, but people are talking about, okay, then why can't the best teacher in India teach 500 students all at once? Why do we need to be in a classroom? So what is your take on that?
Naren, tell me truthfully, when I was in school, and I still say, whatever I learned outside the class. I never learned anything in class. I learned it on the sports field.
So true.
I learned it in my activity class. I learned it in my dance class. I learned it in my theatre class. And I learned it on my basketball court because I played basketball, for the state. And I used to play well. I used to be an athlete. So whatever I learned outside the classroom. And I learned to give, if at all today I say that, we are all a team, the team work that we learned, the collaborative work that we learned, it is only because we realized only if somebody would pass me, would I be able to hit the goal. Otherwise, how would I be able to basket? So it's all teamwork. So remember getting up in the morning, going to a bus, waiting for the bus, getting onto the bus, finding a place to sit, and then somebody shifting and, pushing you aside because the other one wants to sit next to his friend. Another one wants to sit next to the window. And then there's no place to sit and there's no place to keep your bag. And then somebody saying, no, you can't have this bottle of water. Then getting off in the bus, then running and being the first one to sit inside the classroom, helping out the teacher, having an argument with each other, hitting each other, while eating, talking to somebody, getting punished outside, eating while standing, and eating whatever is served on the table, finishing all that. Where would you learn this? Tell me.
Wow.
Where would you learn this? Ghar mein koi can anyone create this kind of an atmosphere where children are pushing one child, there's one big basket of fruits, wo pada hai, parents are running behind him, khalo. I wouldn't want to eat. And in my time, I come from a joint family. So early morning, We used to wait. When will we get it? Nobody was allowed to go and touch anything on his own. So one banana mila, one orange mila. You sit there, you eat that banana and orange. And if you want another one, you have to take permission. We couldn't do things on our own like this. And here I have done it myself because my in-laws were there. My husband was there, me and one chota bacha. Please eat, please eat, please eat. And he's saying, I don't want to eat this, I don't want to eat that.
Wow. That's such a great statement that we learn outside the classroom so much. Like you learn negotiation in the bus, right? Hey, please allow me to sit. Hey, please you move here. That's negotiation that we're learning, like in the bus.
Absolutely. And then when you get bullied, who will bully you at home? I keep laughing even now when we play Ludo, when we play chess, whatever. Only child, the moment he starts losing, he'll throw the table. No, I don't want to play. I don't want to play. The board game goes for a toss. So I ask my daughter-in-law at times, does your husband still do that? That's my son. She says, yes, at times he still does that.
Wow. Ma'am, thank you so much for such an amazing conversation. I have a final question for you, and that for you as a person, because I know that you have a meditation practice that you do. And I am somebody who really believes in the power of meditation and how important it is for people to learn. And you being such a big role model for so many of us, you practicing meditation, what is it that brought you to meditation, and why do you do it as a personal practice every day?
Naren, I have no reason for that. What brought me to meditation, I don't know. I just know that in my parents' home, we still have a big mandir. There's a puja room.
Yeah.
It's a very special puja room. And my mother used to, and I fasted all my life on Mondays and Tuesdays and Hanumanji and Shivji and and if you ask me, I don't know how many people would know so many pujas. I know, by heart, I know so many pujas. ऐसे. शिव रुद्राष्टकम पूछ लीजिए या हनुमान अष्टक पूछ लीजिए या हनुमान चालीसा या anything. I know. I'm not taking pride in this, probably because this was done at home. So, this is a part of my life, and I've always found a connect with God. I've found, it was within it. It's in the family. I do somehow, and so when I do my, jap with my, my mala, when I do it, I just find a lot of peace. I feel all my problems, whenever there's a problem, I just have to sit for 10-15 minutes, and then it carries on for 1 hour because I don't know how time goes by. So sometimes it's like you start off for 5-10 minutes and then you just carry on. You don't want to come back from there. Yeah. Something like that. But after that, you're rejuvenated and you feel so happy and energetic. And only if you are happy from within can you give happiness to others.
Ma'am, and we can see that happiness and energy in you throughout this whole conversation. Thank you so much for such a fantastic, wonderful conversation. I got to learn so much, and you truly are a role model, especially for, the Indian woman, I would say. You've been speaking about your husband, you've been speaking about your family, because the Indian woman has this special role she plays, because now in the 21st century, she has a career to take care of. And at the same time, there's this whole family thing. And you have been carrying both. And this whole conversation, you've been so joyful about it. Life threw so many challenges at you, and you were just, yes, you took on whatever was there. And here you are, principal of the Heritage School, more than 13-14 years, and built such a beautiful institution now that children, are so proud to walk out.
This is my 15th year. I've completed 14 years.
Oh, 15th year.
15th year running. Yeah.
That's been a long stride, ma'am. That's amazing.
Long thing. And Indian woman, well, yes, it's not just Indian woman, Naren. One last thing that I want to say is, you do everything with a good intention and take keep your priorities in place, because you know, for me, priority was my family and my son, and I thought, you know, he should be there. I mean, you invest all your time and your energy in your child because he's your first investment, he's your first priority. So there's no regret in life, because I don't think if I had been there, mera do ghar aur ho jata, mujhe kya karna tha? I had to stay in one house only. I have to stay in 2-3 rooms in one house, and I can't eat gold ka roti and silver ka roti. I can't eat that. So I'm going to eat whatever khana I eat. But well, yes, it's not difficult. If you work, I think success follows. It happens on its own. I never planned it. Never, ever, never planned my path. It just happened. And I think God has been very kind. That's it.
You're amazing. You're amazing. Thank you so
Come
much
on.
for your time.
Thank you, Naren. I'm sorry for talking so much. I think I've taken too much of your time.
No, not at all. I mean, this is awesome. This is more, learnings for me. So absolutely a delight. Ma'am, thank you once again. It's
Thank
so
you,
good to have
Naren.
you.
God bless you. Give my regards to your parents, your siblings, everybody in the family, and lots of love to all your friends and inheritance.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks for being a
Thank
great
you.
teacher even now after school.
God bless, Peter. God bless. Bye bye.